Hello and welcome to the last May edition of Badge Chat K-12. We are live for the Badge Chat Show and Tell with Dan Sharpe of McGlone Elementary School. And Dan, welcome and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm super pumped.
As am I. Hadn't seen you in a long time and then got to run into you at a Gave Summit this weekend. I really appreciate you agreeing to come on. And before we dive into just you and your school's journey with badges, some congratulations are in order. You are going to be starting up a Google Certified Innovator program.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was not official yet. You obviously got to complete your boot camp, but I'm really happy to be selected for the Colorado 2016 Innovator Program. So thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. That's really exciting and very cool for us here in the Denver area and the Colorado region to have great folks like you representing us in that awesome venue. So congrats and thank you for what you're doing. So I just want to jump in right away with asking you just a little bit about your school and the journey to start in with badges, and because I understand that what you're going to share with us is not necessarily your school's kind of initial prototype, but just the latest. So do you mind just talking about the journey of how you got from not talking about badges to all of a sudden using badges at your school?
Yeah, I mean, McGlone is a innovation school in Northeast Denver, so we have a lot of flexibilities being an innovation school to opt in and out of various types of curriculum and choose kind of our staff and have more control over our budget and calendar. And so badging is something that's always kind of been in the back of my mind for a long time since I was a sixth grade math teacher. But at the time, I mean, so much of it was like way above my nerd pay grade, I guess you could say, because it was so challenging that I just never even got into it. And so I think it was at the beginning of this year, one of our, two of our teachers, one of our technology teachers, Chris Moore, is a Google certified trainer, and Brianna Mazzella, who's one of our math teacher leaders, and she teaches third grade math. Kind of were working on a pretty basic system, and Chris had said, hey, what do you think of this? Is there any way we can make this work? And I was actually like really impressed at how simple the system really was. And so I just kind of like would play with it on the side here and there, and then like it would work. I mean, a lot of times like you're writing formulas or you're writing a script and it would start working. And so we just kept going until we'd run into another problem, and we just let that problem kind of guide us and try to fix the next problem, the next problem, the next problem. And within the past month, it really like all came together into one just really awesome program. And I guess what I love about it is it's so simple to use and so easy to use, and you can take it and give it to anybody and start creating badges and giving them to kids. And obviously it all comes back to kids. It's not about the tool. We wanted to really reward our kids or give them something kind of be proud of in a badging system, so that they walk around and say, like, hey man, I'm a level 16, what level are you? And really let them own their learning and make it authentic, and not just kind of being some random PBIS system, but something that really reflected like what they accomplished. Because if you just give out like a ticket or something, like that's great, but it doesn't necessarily capture like what that student was doing and what they were like, what their accomplishments were. And so we really were intentional in creating the system to make sure that one, it really captured the essence of like what that kid had accomplished, but also that it connected back to something that they could show, something they could demonstrate, so it had meaning and value, and that kids were making real connections with how hard I work equals success. And if kids leave our school going away with that idea, because you're not going to have badging, at your job, maybe like if you're wherever you're working, but they know that if that hard work will equal some sort of reward, either pay, or it could be just I feel better about myself because I know I put my best effort in.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know that the folks who are watching live, as well as those who watch this recorded on YouTube, are definitely going to be excited to dive in and see all this. because you've done stuff to where you're combining a lot of what people are talking about with, not just the recognition of student achievement, also so you've really put a lot of thought into gamification, as well as attaching evidence, that you make your students attach evidence. But real quick, before we do dive in, for those of you who are just joining us live, this is Daniel Sharpe of McGlone Elementary. He is at get_Sharpe on the Twitter. And we are using the Q&A app on your Hangout. So if you have questions live for Dan, feel free to drop those in. We'll get them to him. You can also tweet those at me and on the hashtag #BadgeChatK12. So Dan, I think that might be a really great moment for you to kind of switch over to screen share and
Sure.
start giving us a little bit of an overview of just what all this looks like. And especially for those of you watching live, if you are pretty deep into Google Sheets and the scripts and formulas, this is going to be really exciting for you. And Dan is going to be happy to answer your really super geeky questions.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are interested in doing this, I have made the documents available and videos available so you can kind of get up and running yourself on my website, getsharpe.us. And under the Learning tab, you'll see digital badging, and you can access all the information to kind of get going. But basically what I'll do is I'll show you first the two templates you need, because really what we wanted this system to be scalable and to be able to grow indefinitely without having to make changes or updates or redistribute any of this. And so it required us to make two documents, one being the document you see here, the teacher badging template, which is a document that an individual teacher, if they were doing it just for their classroom would create their badges, or if it was school-wide, all the teachers would share this document and create their badges. And so you can see here, there's a bucket column, and so the bucket is just kind of the content area that the badge belongs in. So, math, Lobos is our mascot, and so that's kind of like our culture badge. And you can see down here there's various tabs. I'll try to zoom in on some of this if I can, but it's kind of hard with screen sharing. But anyway, these tabs down here are different areas like science and music and art and whatnot. One of the things that was really important for us is to make this kind of game-like, and so we decided to make different badges worth different kinds of experience points, just like in a video game. And so we wanted to make it so that kids could kind of level up somewhat quickly and like get kind of that energy. Like if you were in a real video game, like from level 1 to level 2 happens pretty quick, but when you get to higher levels, like level 30, level 40, those take a lot more badges to kind of get to those levels. And so the way it works is a teacher selects a difficulty level, and then based on the difficulty level of badge, the badge gets a different amount of experience points. And so like a level 5 badge, for example, automatically calculates as 25 experience points. And so we do want kids to be able to hit those really easy level 1 badges, but we also want them to see the value of trying to go for a level 10 because you get more points for it. And then just
as an administrator, you are really, it seems to me, empowering your teachers to really decide for themselves what that difficulty level looks like, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, we aren't going to try to control that at all. We really want our teachers to decide what the badge is, and it can be anything. I mean, if it's something like classroom respect, and that's something about keeping the classroom clean and organized, then great. I want the teacher to feel free to create that. I don't want to try to create that on my own, because they'll know what the best are, and then decide, if it's a level 1 or a level 10 or whatever. So yeah, we definitely empower our teachers to do all that. So they get in here and create the title and description and whatnot. And really what's happening here is that this teacher template talks to this kid template, and the kid template gets all that information. So you can see here the same information like bucket and difficulty level and title and description all show up. And so what this does is that kids get individual copies of this badging template, and this is where they get to enter their codes for their badges. And so as teachers add badges indefinitely, these automatically sync and sort into organized columns. So they'll actually stay sorted by content, and then they'll sort by difficulty level and then by experience point. So kids can log in and be like, man, I really want to earn that level 10 math badge, and they can go down and see what the description is or the requirements are to earn that badge. And then when a kid earns that badge, the teacher can give them whatever code they create up. That's what's great about the system, is the codes can be changed and modified at any time. And then when a kid is able to type in that code, a badge will show up over here. And then where you see work here, that's where the kid kind of attaches their work link. And so really,
so, Dan, I want to ask you a quick question about that. And for the folks who are just joining us, we're live with Dan Sharpe. He is at @get_Sharpe on the Twitter, and he's the administrator at McGlone Elementary, sharing their awesome badge system with us here. And Dan, two quick questions. So your school has definitely made the decision to go with badges that are not open badges. And so if you could kind of talk us through that kind of decision process, as well as how it looks here on the student documents. Like, you're at the same time as not doing open badges, you are kind of accounting for a lot of that, what a lot of us call metadata, that would go into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't checked open badges in a long time. I mean, when it was first coming out, it was great, but it still felt like a lot of just a lot of work for me. And so I really we just kind of made the decision to roll with Google Sheets, and for a couple of reasons. Like, so this is where kids enter their codes and their badges and their work shows up here. But there's a tab down here called the display case, and so this is kind of like where kids get to see. And oops, sorry about that. There's a nice display case that our technology teacher, Chris Moore, actually embeds on their Google Sites, and then they're able to like replicate that as part of their portfolio. And so this system, as kids come into our school and get a new Google site, they have their badge display case embedded into their site, and they can kind of show it off to their friends and their family and things like that. So I think part of it was just kind of that seamless Google integration back and forth between sites and Sheets and all that for us, because we do use Google Apps for Education. And it just felt more natural to us. So I'm not necessarily knocking open badges. I think it's a great program, but we wanted to see what we could do on our own. Oh, I think I lost your audio.
No, I did that to myself.
Oh,
I'm muting
sorry.
myself because Paco is barking a little bit here. So
no worries.
Something that some background knowledge that might help other people who are watching this, who haven't had the opportunity to be in your awesome school, is that, and your students are really dialed in with Google Apps for Education throughout all of their classes. And so it is part of the decision here just about, not making one more user account for students to remember and whatnot, but more just seamlessly integrating it with stuff you already are doing.
Yeah, again, I think the single sign-on is definitely really beneficial, but again, I think we're really trying to empower our kids. So one of the things about our badging system is we design all of our badges in Google Drawings. And so we haven't started it yet, but it's going to be a really easy transition to have kids start creating those badges so that they can easily upload them and like make their own kind of badging system for their classroom or their school or whatever they want to. And so we wanted to make that fairly simple, something they could do on their Chromebooks that would be really easy. And we just felt that was a nice direction to go.
Fantastic. And again, for those of you, see a few people just joined us, this is Dan Sharpe. If you have questions, feel free to tweet them at us using hashtag BadgeChatK12 or on the Q&A app there on your viewer. Feel free to type those in. We'll make sure to get those answered on the air. Dan, do you mind sharing with us, for folks who do have a little bit more knowledge than just, sheets or spreadsheets, for folks who are a little more savvy than that, do you mind getting into a little bit of kind of the complicated stuff of putting this together?
Absolutely. So as I was referring to earlier, there's different tabs here at the bottom that are buckets for different badges that people create. So if you go over here to our Lobos Culture badge, you can see you create an ID for your badge, a name, a description, and then a URL to a link of the drawing itself. And so what we do is we create let me pull one up here for you really quick. We create a Google drawing that's really, really, really basic. just a 256 by 256 kind of size, and then we drag random images into it that like we create. Like we try not to spend a lot of time, making these, because we don't want to, again, teachers' time is very valuable. So we want to make sure that we're really taking time to make this as easy as possible. And so let me pull up a drawing here. This is a badge that Chris Moore made. And so you can see this is just a really simple design. It's got two shapes, this kind of explosion shape here, and then I don't know how many sides that shape is, but then this shape here, and then a level 1 and badge title. And then we could do whatever we wanted to here in the middle. We could drag a text and say, this is a, culture badge or whatever the kind of badge is, and add some sort of image and get that all nice and pretty. But then all we do is we publish the image to the web, and then we copy this link, and then that link goes back into the teacher document. And when that link goes in, the badge is kind of recorded and saved then into that sheet, and those badges then sync to the kid sheet via some scripts. So the tabs don't show up; they're actually hidden from the kids, so that they can't see the codes and those kinds of things. But behind the scenes in the kids sheet, there's this called get auto update table function that I kind of built out by piecing together various variables and functions. And what it does is it's almost like an import range function where it gets the sheet ID from the teacher copy, and then goes through and looks at each tab and then copies whatever is in the teacher tab to the student tab, including the code. And so what that does, which is really nice, is that when that is copied, so this particular badge, so let's just give it a day, we'll call it day 1 is the ID code or whatever. But if you go back to the kid template and you hit refresh, the script is designed to check the teacher template every time the document's opened. And so every time a kid opens their badging template, they can see if there's been any new badges added. And then they can go in and type in that code here. Give it just a quick second to update. And as they add that code, or as that code is given to the teacher, then that badge is available and pops up and displays on their system. So I should be able to type in day 1 here, and the badge should show up. Oh, it's updating still. You can see the little bar up here. So again, it's just running through all those scripts and syncing back up to the teacher one, and hopefully it pops up here, assuming it gets all the way down.
And so just to make sure that we're totally understanding what's going on there, is that the students are going to be able to see then on this this sheet that you're showing, they're going to be able to see all of the badges that are available to them.
Right.
And they're going to know the description of the badge, they're going to know the level of the badge, how many points it's worth, and then they'll be able to get the in a sense, a claim code from their teacher that they'll type in, and then under that badge column that's second from the right, that once they enter that code, the badge is going to auto-populate, show up. And then the real check to make sure that they didn't just get that code from their friend is in that final column, and that's where they're going to be able to link to their work as sort of a portfolio component. Did I kind of get that right?
Yep. Yeah, you got that right. And so you can see here that when I type in the day 1 code, that badge pops up and it's added to my display case. And so as a teacher, I could look through here and say, like, okay, I see work evidence for these 3 badges, but here there's work evidence missing. And so the kid might have gotten it from their friend, or they might have, just copied it over. And so how can I go back now and say, hey, Noah, I see you put up the badge here for, the culture badge, but what's your evidence? How did you really show that you worked and earned that badge? And we can talk about it. And then if they are able to demonstrate that either through a video or a photo or a document or anything, they can link it here from Drive or wherever that source is contained. And then that'll show up on their display case so people can reference it.
Fantastic. And again, we are live with Dan Sharpe. If you have any questions, feel free to use that Q&A app on your YouTube viewer in order to get those questions to Dan live, and we'll make sure to get those before we wrap up here in the next 9-10 minutes. Dan, stepping away from the actual, sort of ins and outs of the sheet system, can you share just a little bit of your kind of approach and philosophy of this with your teachers as an administrator? Because I think this is the first time we've had the opportunity to have an admin on this hangout. And so can you share a little bit about just the role that you play as an administrator?
Yeah, I mean, I think the role of an administrator is to empower your teachers, and I think you do that by always putting kids first. And so we have a saying here at McGlone, happy kids learn more. And so we always start with what would make kids happy, what would make them have fun and enjoy learning. And part of that is that their teacher is happy and having fun and enjoying being a teacher. And so we really encourage risk-taking. We encourage try new things like this badging system. And then as administrators, we kind of provide the space and the safety to try those things, because they're not always successful or they don't always go as smoothly as we expected. And when teachers feel safe that they can do that, they become better learners, and then they make modifications and create more authentic learning experiences. And then that's just kind of like a cycle that loops back around to the kids. And then the kids are just loving being at school. And then of course the parents love it as well, because their kids are happy and they feel more connected to the school. So it's not so much, forcing your teachers to be in compliance, because that never works. It's just providing the space and the tools for them to be successful.
And you mentioned that Brianna and Chris brought this to you, and so was your role really in the kind of technology and under the hood, being able to create those sheets and scripts, or and more of a thought partner on the kind of systemic aspects of it, as opposed to a lot of times we see schools where an admin is more kind of top down telling teachers what it needs to look like. And I'm not getting the sense that that's how this went.
Yeah, I mean, this was never anything that was like, we're going to have badges and we're going to have it in 3 months. I mean, it was something kind of like, oh, badges, that's cool. Like, let's play with this for a little while and see if it turns into something that people will be interested in. And so I'll admit it, I'm super nerdy, tech, geeky. And so I do enjoy playing around in Google Sheets and then just writing the scripts and the formulas and watching it all kind of work and come together. So I definitely get a lot of satisfaction out of that. But as far as, Brianna and Chris, it was their project, and I just wanted to support them and see how far we could get it. Because I know it's successful, and I know a lot of schools have done it successfully. I was thinking of one school up north. I can't remember, one of the technology teachers, he did a really successful badging system. I was just kind of a young teacher at ISTE when I heard his story, and ever since then that really stuck with me, and I thought in my mind, wow, that would be something really cool if we could have it, but it just never kind of came together, and I never really knew where to go or what that would look like. And so when Brianna and Chris came to me and said, hey, look at what we're doing, I thought, wow, I think we could really actually do this. And then when we started playing around, it was like, oh yeah, we can really, really do this, and it'll work great. And there's so many people's hands in this too, which I think is great. You've got Brianna and Chris, and even like the idea of import ranging the data into the sheet with a script came from Chris Betcher from Australia. And, I think about just even talking to John McGowan about, how can we make the scripts run a little better, and various forums being on and saying, how can you run this function to get this information, and what's the quickest and easiest way? And people are so helpful in the community. So it's not all from me. I mean, there's lots of people who have thrown their ideas in here to make this kind of come to reality.
Wow. So, and you literally had brain power from 3 continents working on this.
Yeah, that's true.
And for the folks who were not with us at the very beginning, you said that in addition to sharing a lot of your work and just the how-to that you put together on your blog, you actually have some video tutorials put together. Can you one more time share just what your blog is and where they can go to get that information?
Yeah, so the website here, I can put it up on the screen share again. So my website is, let me pull this up here, is www.getsharpe.us. And then on my page, there's a learning tab right here. And if you click on that, you'll see various kind of Google Apps things that I've worked on, but digital badging is right here. And just a little overview, but if you scroll down, there's basically 5 step videos to show you how to create this. And then the links up here, badging teacher template and badging kid template, are the two documents that you need to get started. And if you see, actually, I haven't talked about this yet, but down here, there's actually a leaderboard template. And we are currently working on integrating a leaderboard system, which we're actually having a lot of success with. And so that's something that we'll put up in the hallway, like on our TVs in the hallway. And so as kids earn badges, right, they level up their characters. And so back to the kid version, you can see like this kid would be a character level 30 with 4 badges. So assuming this kid has the most badges, 30, or has the highest character level, 30, they would be ranked #1 on the leaderboard, and then whoever had the next amount, like 29 or 28, would be ranked second. And so we can kind of turn it into a little bit of a competition among the kids around the school. So we're pretty excited about being able to get that up and running.
That does sound like a ton of fun, going back to that sort of guiding principle that you said you have McGlone of happy learners or good learners. We do have a question that just came from Kelly. She was asking a question that I guess we maybe didn't do a good job being too clear on, just where we are right now in the iteration of this at your school. But she asked, do teachers use this throughout the year?
Yeah, no, because we started working on it this year. And so, really, I only have 2 teachers who are doing this, Chris and Brianna, and that's it. And I have a bunch of other teachers who are interested but haven't jumped overboard yet. And that's our philosophy. I mean, that's our learning style here at McGlone. We don't force these things on our teachers and say, all right, 3rd grade, you're going to do this. We really empower the people who want to roll with it because we know they'll do it better because they're invested. And then when the other people, or the other teachers in the building see that and they go, oh, that looks cool, I want to try that, then it rolls out. And then we kind of see the adoption across the school as it continues to expand. So no, we're not using this throughout the year currently with all of our teachers, but we do have a couple teachers who are using it more consistently.
Well, I think just piggybacking on what you were saying there, Dan, that there's probably, with this being early, you probably have moments where you do everything right, just like it's supposed to work, and then it doesn't work. And then, you have to go in because something's broken. And just having that sort of opt-in willing teachers who are doing that, does that sort of help with just some agility and flexibility and willingness to roll with those punches, as opposed to, see, Dan, why are you making me do this when it doesn't work anyways? Is that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think there's still some issues. I don't know why this happens, but I'll wake up in the morning and I'll have an idea of like how to make the document like a little faster, like a little better, a little more streamlined. And so we go and I start working on that, and then we, kind of almost start over every time we do that. However, we are feeling like we're at almost like kind of that final product that hasn't had any issues. Just this last weekend in Breckenridge, it was the first time we shared this system with other teachers outside of our school, and literally it worked on every computer flawlessly. I mean, there was a couple hiccups because of various Google Apps accounts versus personal accounts, but the system itself actually worked on every person's computer, and it was kind of like we were all doing the happy dance because we honestly didn't know if it would work on that kind of scale, and it did, so that was pretty great.
Awesome. Well, I know that you're already playing Hurt as It Is, and I promised you we'd get you done in 30 minutes, so I'm just going to ask one last question. This is coming from Rich in California, and he asks, what are some of the most compelling outcomes that you've seen that you haven't mentioned yet?
I think that what we've seen, at least from our kids, is they really care about showing their work on their portfolio. And so the one thing that's been missing that the kids really enjoy is kind of like, what is that little bit of additional recognition I get for my hard work? So yes, I did make this awesome music mashup, beatbox, whatever, and I put it on my site, but now what? How do I kind of show what what that accomplishment was? And so we're starting to see kids really go after certain projects and really work through it, and kind of you might want to call it stick-to-itiveness, so that they can see their project through completion, so they can earn one of those badges. And we know it's going to happen. It's just the scale is so small at this point. It's not quite gotten all over the school, but definitely we're seeing some amazing outcomes with our kids who really just have that, like, okay, I'm going to work on this project and I'm going to do it for 3 or 4 weeks and I'm going to stick to it because it's worth earning that completion and earning that recognition through the badging system. So
awesome, and I love your just future look that you just know it's going to be right. I really value
that. It's going to be awesome. I know it's going to be.
Well, thank you so much for being with us again. This is Daniel Sharpe. He is at get_sharp with an E at the end on the Twitter. You can find this all on his blog. Dan, do you mind filling me in again? What's the URL of the blog?
Yeah, it's getsharpe, SHARPE.us.
That's right. I couldn't remember. I knew it wasn't .com. So you can read all about this system and see some videos where he shows you the ins and outs of the Google Sheets system there. And just on our way out here, Dan, are any folks are you / any of your teachers going to be at ISTE that any folks who see this between now and then should come see your sessions?
Yeah, that's great. I will be at ISTE. Chris Moore will be at ISTE, and so will Brianna. Chris and Brianna are actually presenting. I believe they have some Google Classroom stuff, so that's going to be awesome. But definitely look them up and attend their sessions. They're some of the most amazing people I know, and they get rave feedback after any of their sessions. So definitely, if you're there, hit me up on Twitter, and let's do like a meetup or a hangout if you want to know more. So.
Awesome. Yeah. Look forward to it and definitely catch up with Dan at ISTE. And for folks who are Badge Chat K-12 regulars, you probably have heard me talk many times about the Badge Summit coming up the day before ISTE on June 24th. Just in case you haven't, it is going to be that Friday, June 24th, right before ISTE here in Aurora, Colorado. It is just $99. We have folks coming from all over planet Earth, France, Finland. Doug Belshaw from the UK is giving one of our keynotes. Nicole Pinkard from DePaul University is giving another keynote. We have a creator of Oregon Trail who's going to be speaking. On the industry side, we have folks who've done badges with Salesforce and IBM and Google. It is going to be a really powerful day of learning and sharing. And you can get more information for that at badge.aurorak12.org/badge summit. Again, that's badge.aurorak12.org/badge summit. And if you're watching my Twitter feed at Senior G, you're probably seeing plenty of links out to that as well. Thank you again for watching live, and those who watch on YouTube, I hope you enjoy this. And Dan Sharpe, thank you so much for your time and for being with us this afternoon.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Love hanging out with you. We got to do it more. So
I agree. Definitely see you at ISTE next month. Have a good night, everybody.